Hi, convention. This is Enola G Freeman coming at you from my sanctum sanctorum here. Just I am featured in two anthologies by Witty Word Press of Myths and Men and Great Greeks. Both of these are available on Amazon. The hardcover is $10 and the Kindle is $5, I believe. Well, the price is there. Um, so I would like to read you a little excerpt from the story that I wrote for Of Myths and Men. The story is called The Holly Bears the Crown, and it was a collaborative effort between myself and a dear friend named Elizabeth G. Wolfe, who is an amazing writer, and she is also featured in Great Greeks. So, Frank Ross shuffled through the envelopes in his hands as he trudged up the stairs to the apartment he shared with his younger brother Toby. But he wasn't really paying attention to them beyond noting which ones were bills, and which was likely to be another notice that Toby's application for disability benefits had been denied. The financial noose kept tightening, and Frank's supervisor at the hospital had just informed him this morning that his hours were going to be cut yet again. He hadn't told Toby yet, but he was starting to lose hope. Given Toby's condition, they couldn't have moved back home even if their parents were still alive, but city life was so expensive. Frank unlocked the door and walked inside with a sigh, closing the door and dropping the mail and keys into the basket on the table beside it. He hung up his jacket and started to turn toward the kitchen, opening his mouth to call his brother's name to see if he was home. Then he froze at the side of the table he'd just set the mail on. Close to the end of the table was a near-perfect handprint in blood. "Toby!" There was no answer. Toby always answered. This was bad. This was very, very bad. Swallowing down his panic, Frank followed the bloody footprints on the floor back to their shared bedroom. The prints led past the beds to the closet, then back toward the bathroom. He could hear the water running. He pounded on the bathroom door. "Toby!" "Yeah?" "Coming in." Heart racing, Frank tried the door handle, but it was slick with blood. He grabbed the tail of his scrub shirt and tried again. He found his brother sitting on his seat in the shower, with his jeans still on and the water steadily beaten down onto his riven back. The holes in his hands and feet, the gouges in his forehead, everything was bleeding this time. His head was bowed, the red staining his straw-colored hair and falling with the water in sickening rivulets, and his skin, always fairer than Frank's, was deathly pale. Frank bit back a curse. Profanity only made Toby's pain worse. "T, what happened?" "Was channel surfing," Toby gritted out. "Thought the news would be safe." Frank sighed. "Not these days. Pretty rare to find good news, even on the internet. You almost have to already know what you're looking for to get the right websites." "How are you now?" "Think I'm almost done," Toby mumbled, pain-glazed green eyes at half-mast. "Okay, I'll go get you a shake." "Thanks. Mind if I stay here?" No, of course not. "Need anything else while I'm in the kitchen?" Toby only hummed. As Frank started to leave the bathroom, he asked, "Maybe check on the iron pills?" Sure, sit tight, I'll be right back." Frank hurried to the kitchen, located the bottle of iron supplement pills, and started searching the cabinets in the fridge for a protein shake. Just about the time he found one last shake at the back of the fridge, he heard the water shut off. He gathered up the shake and the pill bottle and carried them back to the bathroom. "Just like last time," he announced as he walked in. "2 pills left. Need both this time?" "Yeah, I think so." Frank nodded, handed Toby the open shake, and poured the iron pills into the cap of the pill bottle. Toby accepted the cap and used it to toss the pills back, then washed them down with a swig of shake. He leaned against the shower wall, eyes closed. I hate this, he murmured into the tile. Frank leaned against the wall outside the shower. I know. I hate it for you. Thanks. Toby sounded direct, even more than usual. So, what's up with Toby? Got to find out. I will tell you this, though. There's a happy ending. With great Greeks, the concept of the anthology was taking Greek myths and putting them into modern America. I chose the myth of Medusa, and it turned into a story of bullying and hate and high school. This is the homecoming from Munster. We look ridiculous. Maddie clamped her lips together to keep the laugh inside as she waved to the crowd gathering at the football field to watch the Thrashers play the Spartans for homecoming. I'm serious, her father murmured through his painted-on smile as he walked with her on his arms. You in your formal and I in my suit, he sing-songed like reciting a poem. Here at homecoming like a polished galoot. Maddie gave up and let out a bark of a laugh, leaning against her father for a step or two and wiping her eyes as they joined the rest of the homecoming court. At Sarah Mackenzie's puzzled expression, she waved her hand and shook her head, pointing at her father. Sarah nodded, a grin slowly spreading as she rolled her eyes toward her own father and shot Maddie a look that said, What can you do? Maddie chuckled again, and they waited as the rest of the court was presented. To nobody's surprise, quarterback Cy Marinson was named king, and Maddie clapped in unfeigned delight as Sarah was named queen. Her father walked her back to the seats, and the game began. Football was boring at the best of times, but Maddie and her father kept up a steady stream of conversation until halftime. While the band played, her father went to the concession stand to get some drinks for them both. He was gone for longer than he should have been, so Maddie stood to see if he was all right. She saw him at the concession stand, a pair of drinks in hand, talking to Miss Wise. It was nothing unusual. The vice principal seemed to enjoy talking to the parents. Miss Wise reached for one of the drinks her father held, and he shook his head and took a step back. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Tilting his head toward where they were standing as his mouth moved. Miss Wise's shoulders squared and her lips thinned. She nodded and asked something, and Maddie's father shook his head again, taking another step back. He turned abruptly and made his way back to where Maddie was, and she lowered herself back into her seat to wait for him. Everything okay? She asked as he handed her one of the drinks. How long do you have to stay at the dance? He asked, a bit of strain in his voice. Just until we're announced again and did the father's dance. Why? I'm not really sure, he said, his eyes scanning the crowd as if looking for a threat. It's probably nothing. Maddie took a deep drink of the cloyingly sweet lemonade and frowned. Something wasn't right. After the Spartans thrashed the Thrashers, the team went to shower and change while the rest of the school retired to the gymnasium. I swear I can talk. Let's start that again. After the Spartans thrashed the Thrashers, the team went to shower and change while the rest of the school retired to the gymnasium for the homecoming dance. After the father's dance, Cy approached them and asked Maddie if he could dance with her. Maddie shot a look of apology at her father before she took Cy's hand and they went out on the floor. She quickly discovered that fast feet on the field didn't always translate into graceful ones on the dance floor, no matter what those celebrity dance shows suggested. After the song ended, Maddie sought out her father and found him talking once more with Ms. Wise, though it looked to her more like Ms. Wise was talking and her father was trying to walk away. Concerned, Maddie made her way to the edge of the dance floor, only to have Cy take her hand and say, Where are you going, beautiful? Let's dance some more. Maddie shook her head. I don't think so, Cy. Sorry. She extricated her hand and took a step off the floor. Cy grabbed her arm and tugged her back onto the floor. He pulled her close and swayed with her as the next song started, hissing into her ear. I'm homecoming king. You're part of my court. The rules say a member of the court can't refuse the king if he asks her to dance. So you're mine. Maddie froze for a second, unable to believe Cy's sheer gall. She licked her suddenly dry lips and turned her head to speak directly into his ear so that he would catch every single word. You're wrong. So what does that mean? What does that dance and Cy's forwardness have to do with everything that happens to Maddie afterwards? And what does Miss Wise have to do with it, and why is her father so uncomfortable? And more importantly, what does the new kid at school have to do with anything? He comes up later. Everything converges, and you find out who the true monster is. Here's a hint. There's more than one. Well, I'm glad you came to my readings. These are available on Amazon. And just FYI, there's more in the pipeline. So keep a watch out, and God bless. And hopefully I will see you in person next year.